The cargo bay of Station Epsilon 7 hummed with the usual sounds of commerce. Taeyang wiped sweat from his forehead as he guided another container into position. The artificial gravity on the station felt light to him, almost like walking on the moon. After 6 months working here, he still hadn't gotten used to how easy everything felt. He had been a soldier once. The war had ended 3 years ago, and now he pushed boxes for a living. It was honest work, and it kept him busy. That was enough. The station served as a meeting point for dozens of alien species. Taeyang had learned to recognize most of them by sight. The tall, blue-skinned Valorians who moved like dancers, the small, furry Kethics who chattered constantly, the rock-like granites who barely moved at all. Humanity was still new to this galactic community, still finding its place among the stars. A commotion near the main corridor caught his attention. Taeyang looked up to see a group of Zinthari warriors marching through the cargo area. They shouldn't be here. This section was for workers only. The Zinthari looked like massive insects walking upright. Their exoskeletons gleamed under the station lights, dark purple and black. Each one stood over 7 feet tall, their forearms ending in sharp, chitinous points. They moved with the confidence of predators who had never known fear. At the center of the group walked Commander Vrekthul. Taeyang recognized him from the station briefings. The commander was important, a high-ranking officer in the Zinthari military. His exoskeleton bore elaborate markings that indicated his status. Taeyang stepped aside to let them pass. He had learned that most aliens preferred humans to keep their distance. Something about the way humans looked made other species uncomfortable. Too many teeth when they smiled, Jiwoo had joked once. Eyes too forward-facing like predators. But the Zinthari group didn't pass by. Commander Vrekthul stopped directly in front of Taeyang. The alien's compound eyes reflected the station lights like fractured jewels. A human worker, Vrekthul said in perfect standard. His translator chip made his voice sound metallic. How appropriate. Laborers doing laborers' work. Taeyang said nothing. He had dealt with insults before. Most species saw humans as primitive newcomers, barely worthy of notice. It didn't matter what they thought. He had a job to do. Vrekthul moved closer. Your kind should remember its place in the galactic order. You are soft creatures from a soft world, weak. The other Zinthari clicked their mandibles in what might have been laughter. Taeyang kept his face neutral. He wanted them to leave. There was work to finish, and this conversation served no purpose. Then, without warning, Vrekthul struck him. The commander's armored appendage swung in a casual arc, connecting with Taeyang's left cheek. To the Zinthari, it was probably nothing. A dismissive gesture, a way to emphasize his point about human weakness. Taeyang's head snapped to the side. Pain exploded across his face. He felt something crack inside his cheek. Blood filled his mouth. The world tilted and his body reacted. Taeyang didn't think. Thinking took time, and his military training had buried responses deeper than thought. His right arm came up. His fist, hardened by 25 years of Earth's crushing gravity, drove forward with every ounce of strength his Deathworld physiology could provide. The blow caught Commander Vrekthul at the junction where his head connected to his thorax. The sound was terrible. Like breaking ceramics and tearing metal at once, Vrekthul's head separated from his body, the exoskeleton shattering under the impact. The commander's body stood upright for a moment as if confused about what had happened. Then it collapsed. Taeyang stood frozen. His hand throbbed. Blood dripped from his mouth onto the deck plating. Around him, the other Zinthari stared in absolute silence. 5 seconds. The entire event had taken 5 seconds. The alarm started screaming. Red lights bathed the cargo bay. The Zinthari warriors began making high-pitched shrieking sounds. Station security would arrive any moment. Taeyang looked down at Vrekthul's body. The commander's head had rolled several feet away, coming to rest against a cargo container. Dark blue blood pooled on the floor. He had killed someone. The knowledge hit him like a physical weight. His legs felt weak. The cargo bay seemed to spin around him. He had killed someone. Not in war, not in combat. Just here, in a simple cargo bay during a normal work shift. The first security officers arrived within seconds. They were Valorians, their blue skin pale with shock. They kept their weapons trained on Taeyang but didn't approach. One of them was shouting into a communicator. The words didn't register. More aliens arrived. Station personnel, merchants, travelers. They formed a wide circle around the scene. none willing to come close to the human who had just killed a Zenthari commander with a single punch. Tae-Yang raised his hand slowly. "I didn't mean to," he said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Distant. "He hit me first. I reacted." The Valorian security officer spoke into his communicator again. "Subject is complying. Send medical. And contact the human diplomatic liaison. Tell Captain Hyun we have a situation." The other Zenthari warriors had formed a protective circle around their commander's body. They made clicking sounds that Tae-Yang's translator couldn't parse. One of them, a smaller female, looked at him with what might have been fear or hatred. Perhaps both. Ji-woo pushed through the crowd. His friend's face went pale when he saw the scene. "Tae-Yang, what happened?" "He struck me," Tae-Yang said. He touched his cheek and his fingers came away bloody. "I defended myself." "You killed him," Ji-woo whispered. "Do you understand what this means?" Tae-Yang did understand. He had killed a high-ranking military officer from a powerful alien empire, an empire that humanity had been trying to establish relations with for years, an empire that saw humans as insignificant primitives. The security officers approached cautiously, energy restraints ready. Tae-Yang didn't resist. He let them bind his hands. Let them guide him toward the security station. The crowd parted before them, aliens of every species backing away from the human who had demonstrated just how dangerous his kind could be. As they led him away, Tae-Yang heard the whispers starting. Words in a dozen languages, filtered through translator chips. Deathworlder. Dangerous. Violent. Primitive killer. He had tried so hard to fit in, to be gentle around the fragile alien bodies, to remember that his strength, so normal on Earth, was monstrous here, and he had failed. The security station doors closed behind him with a sound like a tomb sealing shut. The holding cell was small and bare. Tae-Yang sat on the metal bench, his hands still bound. His cheek had swollen badly and every breath sent sharp pain through his face. The medical scanner had confirmed what he already knew. Fractured cheekbone, severe tissue damage. If he had been any other species on the station, the blow would have killed him instantly. Hours passed before anyone came to see him. When the door finally opened, a human woman entered carrying a data tablet. She was in her 30s, dressed in the formal robes that marked her as a legal professional. "My name is Da-eun," she said, sitting across from him. "I'm a lawyer specializing in interspecies law." "Captain Hyun sent me." Tae-Yang nodded. His throat felt dry. "Am I going to die?" Da-eun's expression was carefully neutral. "The Zenthari delegation is demanding immediate execution. They claim you murdered Commander Vrekthal without provocation." "He hit me first. I know. I've reviewed the security footage." She activated her tablet, turning it so Tae-Yang could see. The video showed the cargo bay from above. He watched himself working, watched the Zenthari approach, watched Vrekthal strike him. Da-eun paused the video. "From this angle, you can see the impact clearly. The commander's appendage struck your face with considerable force. Now watch the timestamp." She played the video forward in slow motion. Vrekthul's arm extended, impact. Tae-Yang's head snapped sideways. Then so fast it was almost a blur even in slow motion. His counterstrike, Vrekthul's head separating, the body falling. 0.3 of a second, Da-eun said. "From the moment he struck you to the moment you responded." 0.3 seconds. Tae-Yang stared at the screen. He had moved without thinking. Pure reflex. The kind of response drilled into soldiers until it became deeper than instinct. "The problem," Da-eun continued, "is that galactic law recognizes self-defense, but it requires proportional response. The Zenthari are arguing that a slap doesn't warrant lethal force." "That wasn't a slap," Tae-Yang said. His jaw throbbed as he spoke. "He broke my face, I know. And that's going to be our defense." She pulled up medical scans on her tablet. "Vrekthul's strike fractured your cheekbone in 3 places. The impact force was approximately 2,000 newtons. For context, that's enough to kill most species represented on this station." Tae-Yang hadn't known that. He knew the blow had hurt, but he hadn't realized how deadly it was. Da-eun stood and began pacing the small cell. "The galactic community doesn't understand humans yet. They see us as soft because we don't have exoskeletons or armored hides. They assume we're fragile, but Earth isn't like their worlds." She pulled up a comparison chart on her tablet. Galactic standard gravity is 6.2 meters per second squared. Earth's gravity is 9.8, almost 60% stronger. Humans evolved under crushing pressure that would cripple most species. The numbers meant little to Tai Yang. He had never known anything but Earth's gravity. It was just normal. Your bone density is triple that of a Valorian, Dayun said. Your muscle fiber composition is completely different from any species in the major empires. When you threw that punch, you weren't trying to kill the commander. You were defending yourself the same way you would, against another human. But I did kill him. Yes, because Centauri physiology is fundamentally incompatible with human strength. She sat down again, leaning forward. Taeyang, I need you to understand something. The galactic community has been treating humans like children, gentle, primitive children who need protection and guidance. They have no idea what we're actually capable of. The door opened again. This time a multi-limbed alien entered. Its body was cylindrical, covered in pale gray skin. 6 arms extended from its torso, each ending in delicate manipulators. Its head was small, with 3 eyes arranged in a triangle. I am Arbitrator Quilks, the alien said through its translator. I will oversee the proceedings regarding this incident. Daun stood. Arbitrator. I was just explaining to my client the complexities of interspecies interaction. Quilks's 3 eyes focused on Taeyang. The Zinthari demand justice. Commander Vrekthul was a decorated officer. His death cannot go unpunished. Then justice requires understanding all the facts, Dayun said, including the fact that the commander initiated violence with lethal force. A disciplinary strike is not lethal force, Quilks replied. It is a common practice among Zenthari to establish dominance through minor physical correction. Minor to them, Daun countered. Lethal to 70% of species on this station, and the commander struck a human. A Deathworld species, Quilks's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. Deathworld? Earth scores 8.7 on the Galactic Habitability Index, Dayun said. Class 12 gravity. Extreme temperature variations. Atmospheric composition that would be toxic to half the species in known space. Evolutionary pressure from large predators and constant tribal warfare. Humans didn't evolve to be gentle, Arbitrator. We evolved to survive. Taeyang watched the exchange in silence.
He had never thought of Earth as a death world.
It was just home. But listening to Daun describe it, he began to understand how alien it must seem to others. Quilks was quiet for a long moment. You are requesting a formal trial. I'm requesting justice, Daun said. My client defended himself against an unprovoked attack. The fact that his defensive response was lethal says more about the physiological differences between species than it does about his intent. The Zenthari will not accept this argument. The Zenthari don't have a choice. This is a neutral station, governed by Galactic Compact law. My client has rights, including the right to defend his life when threatened. Quilks turned to leave, then paused. I have reviewed the security footage. The human's response was remarkably fast. Military training, Daun explained. He's a veteran of Earth's continental wars. I see. Quilks's 3 eyes studied Taeyang again. I will convene a formal hearing. Both sides will present evidence. Expert testimony will be required. After the arbitrator left, Taeyang looked at Daun. Do we have a chance? She didn't answer immediately. The law is on our side. But politics? That's different. The Zenthari Empire is powerful. Humanity is barely 3 decades into galactic society. A lot of species would rather sacrifice one human than anger the Zenthari, so I'm going to die. Not if I can help it. Dayun's jaw set with determination. This case is bigger than you, Taeyang. Every human in the galaxy is watching. We need to establish a precedent. We need to make the galactic community understand that humans aren't helpless primitives. We have our own strengths, our own dangers. Through the transparent wall of the holding cell, Taeyang could see the station corridor. Aliens passed by, their faces showing fear, curiosity, anger. A group of Zenthari stood at the far end, their compound eyes glinting. News of the incident had spread throughout the station. In the cargo bay, a human had killed a Zenthari commander with a single punch. The soft, weak humans were not as helpless as everyone had believed. What happens now? Taeyang asked. Now we prepare for trial, Dayun said. I'm bringing in experts. Xenobiologists, military advisors, medical professionals. We're going to educate the galactic community about what it means to be human. She stood to leave, then turned back. Taeyang, one more thing. Station security found something interesting when they analyzed the scene. Do you know how much force you used in that punch? He shook his head. about 40% of your maximum capacity. The biomonitors in your work suit recorded the muscle activation. You pulled your punch, Taeyang. Even in that split-second reaction, some part of you held back. The door closed behind her, leaving Taeyang alone with that thought. He had killed with restraint. What did that say about humans? What did it say about him? The hearing chamber was larger than Taeyang had expected. Rows of seats curved in a semicircle around a central platform where arbitrator Quilks presided. Representatives from dozens of species filled the gallery. The trial had become a galactic event, broadcast across multiple systems. Taeyang sat beside Daun at the defendant's table. Across the chamber, 3 Zenthari lawyers conferred in their clicking language. Behind them, the victim's clutchmate watched with unblinking compound eyes. The tribunal will hear expert testimony regarding human physiology and capability, Quilks announced. The defense may call its first witness, Daun stood. The defense calls Dr. Sun-hee, xenobiologist and specialist in comparative evolutionary biology. A human woman approached the witness platform. She was older, perhaps 60, with gray hair pulled back in a practical style. She carried a data tablet and several holographic projectors. Dr. Sun-hee, Dayun began, please explain to the tribunal how Earth compares to other inhabited worlds in the known galaxy. The doctor activated her first hologram. A 3-dimensional image of Earth appeared, rotating slowly. Beside it, similar projections showed the homeworlds of the Valorians, Kethics, and Zenthari. Earth is classified as a Class 12 gravity world, Dr. Sun-hee said. Her voice was calm, professional. Galactic Standard is Class 7. The Zenthari homeworld is Class 6. What this means in practical terms is that everything on Earth weighs approximately 60% more than it would on most inhabited planets. She pulled up another chart. Humans evolved under this crushing pressure. Our bones are denser. Our muscles are more compact and powerful. Our cardiovascular systems are designed to pump blood against much stronger gravitational pull. A Kethic representative in the gallery raised a furry paw. But humans appear soft. You have no natural armor. Correct, Dr. Sun-hee said. We evolved different survival strategies. Not armor, but endurance, persistence, and raw kinetic force. She activated another hologram. This shows the strike force of various species performing what they would consider a casual blow. The data appeared in glowing numbers. Kethic casual strike, 200 newtons. Valorian, 500. Zenthari, 2,000. Human, 4,000. The chamber erupted in whispers. Aliens turned to their neighbors, their translators creating a babble of shocked conversation. A human casual strike, Dr. Sun-hee continued, has twice the force of a Zenthari strike. This is without training, without intent to harm, simply the natural result of muscles developed under high gravity. The lead Zenthari lawyer stood. This is irrelevant. The defendant is a trained soldier, not a casual citizen. You're absolutely right, Daun said. Which brings us to our next witness. Admiral Insu entered the chamber in full military dress. He was an older man, his face weathered by years of service. Medals covered his chest, marking battles fought across Earth's continents. After being sworn in, the Admiral stood at attention on the witness platform. Admiral, Dayun said, please describe human military training protocols regarding physical force. Insu's voice was gruff but clear. Human soldiers are trained in escalation of force. We learn to assess threats and respond proportionally. A soldier's first instinct should be to de-escalate. Physical force is a last resort, and when physical force is necessary, we're trained to disable, not kill, unless our lives are in immediate danger. He paused, glancing at Taeyang. The training goes deep. It becomes reflex. You don't think about it. Your body just knows how to respond to threat. Dayun pulled up the security footage. Admiral, in your professional opinion, was Taeyang's life in immediate danger when Commander Rekthul struck him? Insu watched the video carefully. Yes, that blow should have killed him. The fact that it didn't is a testament to human durability. And his response? Textbook defensive reaction. Neutralize the threat immediately. Prevent a second strike. Insu's jaw tightened. What's remarkable is that he pulled his punch. Even in that split second, his training kept him from using lethal force. But the commander died, the Zenthari lawyer objected. Because Zenthari physiology is incompatible with human defensive responses, Insu replied. If another human had thrown that punch, it would have caused a concussion at worst. Against a Zinthari? Catastrophic structural failure. The next witness surprised Taeyang. Gildong was a merchant, someone he had seen around the station but never spoken to. The man was heavy-set and cheerful-looking, the type who made friends easily. "Mr. Gildong," Daun said, "you're not a scientist or a soldier. You're a civilian trader. Why are you qualified to testify?" Gildong smiled. "Because I've been living among aliens for 12 years. I've learned how to exist in a galaxy that wasn't built for humans. Please explain." "Every day I have to remember that I'm stronger than almost everyone I meet. A handshake that feels normal to me can break fingers. A friendly pat on the back can crack ribs. I've learned to move carefully, speak softly, never make sudden movements." He gestured around the chamber. "Most humans working in galactic space have learned the same lessons. We're constantly restraining ourselves. It's exhausting, but it's necessary. Because if we don't, accidents happen." "What kind of accidents?" Gildong pulled up several incident reports on his tablet. "Last year on Station Gamma 4, a human child hugged a Kethic shopkeeper, broke 3 of the alien's ribs. The child was 6 years old." More whispers from the gallery. "On the mining colony at Kepler 442b, a human worker got into an argument with a Valorian supervisor. The human pushed him. Just a push, nothing aggressive. The Valorian's shoulder dislocated, and he fell hard enough to crack his skull." Gildong looked directly at the Zinthari delegation. "We're dangerous. Not because we want to be, because we come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. Our planet has gravity that crushes, predators that hunt, diseases that devastate. Humans survived all of it. We're built to survive." Dr. Sun-hee returned to the stand for technical questions. A Granite representative asked about human reaction times. "Humans have among the fastest neural response times in known space," she explained. "Combined with our muscle power, this means we can go from rest to lethal force in under half a second. It's a survival trait. On Earth, hesitation meant death. You paint humans as monsters," the Zinthari lawyer said. "No," Dr. Sun-hee replied firmly. "I paint humans as survivors. There's a difference. Monsters seek to harm. Humans simply refuse to die." She activated a final hologram. It showed Earth's evolutionary timeline, compressed into a visual display. Predators chasing humans across savannas, tribal conflicts, the development of weapons, agriculture, civilization, and through it all, the constant pressure of a world that demanded strength. "Humanity didn't choose to be this way," Dr. Sun-hee said. "Earth made us. The high gravity shaped our bones. The predators honed our reflexes. The wars taught us combat. We're a product of our environment, just like every species in this chamber." Quilks leaned forward. "Dr. Sun-hee, in your expert opinion, could the defendant have survived Commander Rekthul's strike without responding?" "Physically? Yes, humans can survive extraordinary trauma. But that's not how survival instincts work. When threatened with lethal force, the body responds automatically. Taeyang's brain registered an attack that could kill him. His body reacted to eliminate the threat. This happened below the level of conscious thought. So he had no choice? Not in any meaningful sense. Not in 0.3 of a second. That's faster than conscious decision-making. That's pure reflex." The testimony continued for hours. Medical experts explained fracture patterns and force dynamics. Military analysts discussed threat assessment. Cultural specialists talked about how different species express dominance and aggression. Through it all, Taeyang sat quietly. He listened to experts describe his body as a weapon, his reflexes as deadly, his very existence as a threat to galactic peace. Was this what humans were? Deathworld monsters who couldn't help but destroy. During a recess, Jiwoo brought him water. His friend looked worried. "How are you holding up?" "They're making me sound like a killer." "No," Jiwoo said gently. "They're making you sound human. There's a difference." When the session resumed, Quilks addressed the chamber. "This tribunal has heard extensive testimony regarding human capability. The evidence suggests that humans possess physical advantages that make them dangerous to other species." The Zinthari lawyer stood. "Then they should be banned from galactic society, quarantined to their own world." Or, Daeun countered, "the galactic society should learn to coexist with diversity. Humans aren't the first physically powerful species. The granites outmass us by 500 kilograms. The Tarkons have natural toxins. Every species brings dangers. But do they kill with casual blows?" The Zinthari demanded. "Commander Rekthul's strike wasn't casual," Daeun said coldly. "It was lethal force. The fact that humans can survive what kills others doesn't make us monsters. It makes us resilient. The trial had been ongoing for 3 weeks. In that time, the galaxy had changed. Tai Yang watched the news feeds from his holding cell. Every major network carried stories about the case. Headlines scrolled across screens in a dozen languages. Deathworlder on trial. Human strength shocks galaxy. Are humans too dangerous? But other stories were emerging too. A journalist named Young Su had started investigating human-alien incidents across known space. What he found painted a disturbing picture. On mining station Kepler 442b, a Valorian supervisor had been striking human workers for months. Minor blows, disciplinary corrections, none of the humans had reported it. They had simply endured the abuse, knowing that fighting back would mean losing their jobs or worse. On the agricultural world of Theta Primus, human farmers were paid half the wages of other species. When they protested, they were told that humans were primitive and should be grateful for any work. On transport vessels throughout the galaxy, human crew members were given the most dangerous assignments. If they died, their deaths were listed as accidents, industrial casualties. No one investigated too closely. Young Su's report spread like fire through human communities across the stars. Anger simmered. People who had been quiet about discrimination suddenly found their voices. In the hearing chamber, Ambassador HFY took the stand. She was a veteran diplomat, someone who had spent decades building bridges between humanity and alien civilizations. Her face was composed, but Tai Yang could see the tension in her shoulders. Ambassador, Daun began, how would you characterize humanity's relationship with the galactic community? HFY chose her words carefully. We have sought to be cooperative partners. Humanity came to the stars seeking friendship, trade, and cultural exchange. We have tried to adapt to galactic norms. Has this adaptation been reciprocal? No. The single word hung in the air. The galactic community has treated humanity as subordinate. Our strength is dismissed as primitive violence. Our technology is considered crude. Our culture is viewed as barbaric. She pulled up statistics on her data tablet. Humans make up 4% of the galactic workforce, but account for 37% of industrial deaths. We are paid on average 60% of what other species earn for the same work. And until this trial, not a single case of assault against a human worker has resulted in prosecution. The Zenthari lawyer objected. This is irrelevant to the case at hand. It's completely relevant, Ambassador HFY replied sharply. Commander Vrekthul struck Tai Yang because he believed he could do so without consequences. He believed humans were weak, subordinate, deserving of physical correction. That belief cost him his life, Quilks interrupted. Ambassador, are you suggesting the commander's death was justified? I'm suggesting it was inevitable. When you treat any group as inferior, when you subject them to violence without consequence, eventually there will be a response. She looked directly at the Zenthari delegation. Your empire built its reputation on military might. You respect strength. Well, humans have strength. We simply chose not to use it. Chose? A Zenthari representative stood. You speak as if humans could dominate the galaxy if they wished. HFY was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was cold. Humanity has fought wars for thousands of years. We know conquest. We know subjugation. When we reached the stars, we made a choice. We could have taken what we wanted by force. Instead, we extended our hand in friendship. She activated a holographic display. It showed human military capabilities, ship designs, weapon systems, tactical assessments. This is what we chose not to use. This is the restraint we've shown every single day since we joined galactic society. The display shifted to show Earth's population. 4 billion humans, Ambassador. 4 billion individuals from a death world, each one capable of what Tai Yang did. We've been very, very patient. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted in their native languages. Security personnel moved to restore order. Quilks hammered for silence. Are you threatening this tribunal? The arbitrator demanded. No, HFY said calmly. I'm providing context. Humans have been absorbing abuse because we value peace. But peace requires respect from all parties. Commander Vrekthul showed no respect. He paid the price for his arrogance. After her testimony, the hearing took a recess. Tai Yang was returned to his cell, but his mind raced with what he had heard. The ambassador had essentially told the galaxy that humans were dangerous and had been holding back. Was that true? Were they really that frightening to other species? Jiwoo visited that evening. He brought food from the human section of the station, real Earth food that tasted like home. The ambassador's testimony is causing chaos, Jiwoo said as they ate. Half the galaxy is terrified. The other half is furious. What about humanity? United for once. Everyone's talking about it. All the little insults, all the discrimination we've endured. People are angry, Tae-yang. Really angry. Tae-yang pushed his food around on the plate. I never wanted this. I just wanted to do my job. I know. But sometimes one incident reveals everything that was already there. You didn't create this problem. You just exposed it. The next day, Counselor Thexan took the stand. The neutral mediator was an ancient being, its species having served as galactic arbitrators for millennia. Its body was vaguely humanoid but composed of a crystalline substance that refracted light into rainbow patterns. I have reviewed the evidence extensively, Thexan said. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. This case represents a fundamental failure of cross-species understanding. Daun approached the witness stand. Counselor, you've mediated thousands of disputes. What makes this case different? Scale. Commander Rekthul made assumptions about human physiology and capability. Those assumptions were catastrophically wrong. But he is not alone. The entire galactic community has misunderstood humanity. Thexan pulled up comparative data. We classify species by their homeworld conditions. Humans are categorized as Class 12 gravity, but that classification was treated as academic. No one considered the practical implications. What should have been done differently? Quilks asked. Mandatory education, contact protocols, physical interaction guidelines. Thexan's crystalline form pulsed with light. The granites have such protocols. No one touches a granite without safety equipment, because everyone knows they outmass most species. The Tarkans have protocols because everyone knows they're venomous. Humans should have similar protections. But humans appear harmless, the Zenthari lawyer argued. Appearances are deceptive. This is the core lesson. Thexan turned to address the entire chamber. I propose a new legal framework. Deathworld species receive special classification. Contact with such species requires training and awareness of physiological differences. Over the following days, the scope of the trial expanded. It was no longer about one human and one Zenthari. It had become a referendum on humanity's place in galactic civilization. Representatives from various species testified. Some spoke of positive experiences with humans. Others expressed fear or resentment. The debates grew heated. Youngsu's investigative reports continued to surface. Each one revealed new incidents of discrimination or abuse. The galactic news networks couldn't ignore the pattern. A turning point came when a group of human workers from across known space submitted a joint statement. Thousands of signatures, thousands of stories of casual violence, economic exploitation, and systemic discrimination. The Zenthari Empire found itself on the defensive. Their claim that Rekthul's strike was a minor disciplinary action became harder to maintain when evidence showed it had fractured Tae-Yang's skull in 3 places. Ambassador. Jaehua returned to the stand with a proposal. Humanity requests the establishment of Deathworld protocols. Species from high gravity are hostile. Environments should have legal protections reflecting their unique vulnerabilities and capabilities. This would create a 2-tier legal system. A Kethic representative objected. No, it would acknowledge reality. A blow that's harmless to a granite might kill a Kethic. A chemical that's safe for a Valorian might poison a Tarkan. We already accommodate these differences in commercial and medical contexts. Why not in legal frameworks? The debate raged for days. Some species supported the proposal, seeing it as practical and fair. Others resisted, fearing it would give humans special privileges. During one heated session, the Zenthari delegation made a tactical error. Their lead lawyer argued that humans should simply be excluded from certain spaces where their strength made them dangerous. Ambassador Jaehua's response was devastating. You're proposing segregation. That didn't work well on Earth, and it won't work in the galaxy. Humans are here. We're part of this civilization. You can either learn to coexist with us, or you can explain to your empire why you're advocating for discrimination. That night, Tae-Yang received an unexpected visitor. A Zenthari female, smaller than the warriors, entered his cell under guard. She wore robes that indicated civilian status. I am Kreshali, she said through her translator. Rekthul's clutchmate. Tae-Yang stood, unsure what to say. I'm sorry for your loss. Krishali was silent for a long moment. Her compound eyes reflected the cell's dim lights. My mate was arrogant. He believed Xanthari were superior to all other species. He treated subordinates cruelly, even our own people. Why are you telling me this? Because the final day of the trial arrived with surprising quietness. The usual crowd of protesters and journalists outside the hearing chamber had thinned. Everyone sensed that the time for arguments had passed. Now came judgment. Tae Yang entered the chamber with Daon at his side. He had lost weight during the weeks of confinement. His face had healed, but a faint scar marked where Rekthul's strike had landed. He would carry that mark for the rest of his life. Arbitrator Quilk sat at the elevated platform, flanked by two other neutral arbitrators who had been brought in for the final ruling. The three-judge panel represented different perspectives from across the galaxy. Together, they would decide not just Tai Yang's fate, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. The chamber filled slowly. Representatives from dozens of species took their seats. The Xanthari delegation sat stiffly, their compound eyes forward. Ambassador Jaehua was present, along with Admiral Insu and Dr. Sunhee. Youngsu sat in the press gallery, his recording equipment ready. Ji Woo had managed to get a seat near the front. He gave Taeyang a small nod of encouragement. Quillix activated the chamber's recording systems. This tribunal has reviewed extensive evidence regarding the incident on Station Epsilon 7. We have heard testimony from experts in multiple fields. We have examined the physiological, cultural, and legal aspects of this case. The arbitrator's three eyes moved across the chamber, touching on each face. What began as a simple investigation has revealed systemic issues within galactic society. The treatment of humans and potentially other species has been based on incomplete understanding and prejudicial assumptions. One of the other arbitrators, a gaseous being contained in a translucent suit, spoke next. Its voice was modulated through a speaker. We must address two separate questions. First, did Taeyang commit murder? Second, what legal framework should govern interactions between species with vastly different physiologies? The third arbitrator, a being that resembled a tree with sensory organs, continued. We will address the immediate case first. Quilks pulled up the security footage one final time. The chamber watched in silence as the incident played out. Vrekthul's strike, Taeyang's response. The commander's death. The evidence is clear, Quilix said. Commander Vrekthul initiated physical contact with lethal force. Medical analysis confirms that his strike could have killed members of 73% of species present on this station. Humans, due to their Deathworld physiology, can survive such impacts. The gaseous arbitrator added. The defendant's response occurred in 0.3 seconds. Neurological experts confirm this is faster than conscious decision-making in most species, including humans. This was a reflexive defensive action, not a calculated attack. The tree-like arbitrator spoke. Multiple experts testified that the defendant's training and instincts led him to pull his strike, using approximately 40% of his maximum force. Had he used full strength, the damage would have been significantly worse. Taeyang felt Dayun's hand grip his arm. She was trying to remain professionally composed, but he could feel her tension. Quilk stood. This tribunal finds that Taeyang did not commit murder. His actions constituted lawful self-defense against an unprovoked attack with lethal force. The defendant is hereby exonerated of all criminal charges. The chamber erupted. Some species cheered. Others protested. The Xanthari delegation remained motionless, their faces unreadable. However, Quilks continued, raising a manipulator for silence. We cannot ignore the broader implications of this case. The celebration died down. Everyone leaned forward, waiting. Commander Rekthul's death, while legally justified, was entirely preventable. It resulted from ignorance about human capabilities combined with aggressive behavior that would be considered assault in most legal frameworks. The gaseous arbitrator activated a holographic display. We have documented 147 similar incidents across galactic space in the past 3 years. Humans subjected to physical violence, discriminatory practices, and exploitation based on incorrect assumptions about their nature. This stops today, the tree-like arbitrator declared. We are establishing new legal protocols, collectively known as the Deathworld Doctrine. Quilks explained the framework. Any species from a world classified as Class 10 gravity or higher receives special legal status. Physical contact requires informed consent. Violence against Deathworld species is automatically classified as attempted murder, regardless of intent. Furthermore, the gaseous arbitrator continued, Deathworld species receive protections against economic exploitation and discrimination. Wage equality is mandatory. Safety protocols must account for physiological differences. This works both ways. The tree-like arbitrator added, Deathworld species are required to undergo training and force modulation when interacting with more fragile species. Accidental harm due to strength differences will be treated as negligence rather than assault, provided proper training was completed. Ambassador HFY stood. On behalf of humanity, we accept these terms. We've always wanted to coexist peacefully. These protocols will help ensure that happens. The Xanthari delegation conferred quietly. Finally, their senior representative stood. The Xanthari Empire protests this ruling. It implies our species was at fault. Your species was at fault, Quilk said bluntly. Commander Vrekthul initiated violence against a being he did not understand. His arrogance cost him his life. Your empire's choice is simple. Accept these new protocols and continue as part of galactic civilization, or reject them and face sanctions. The Xanthari representative's mandibles clicked in agitation. This is extortion. This is justice, Quilks replied. Commander Vrekthul struck a Deathworlder and paid the price. Your empire can learn from his mistake or repeat it at a larger scale. The choice is yours. After a long pause, the Xanthari representative sat down. It wasn't acceptance, but it wasn't rejection either. The Empire would need time to decide. Quilks turned to Taeyang. The defendant is free to go. Additionally, the Xanthari Empire is ordered to pay reparations for the assault on Taeyang and for medical expenses related to his injuries. Daun smiled for the first time in weeks. Taeyang felt numb. He was free. After all these weeks, he could leave the cell, but the arbitrator wasn't finished. Before we conclude, I want to address something that multiple witnesses raised. Taeyang, you suffered physical trauma from Commander Vrekthul's strike, but you've also suffered psychological trauma from the consequences of your defensive action. Taeyang looked up, surprised. You killed someone, Quilk said gently. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the justification, that creates a burden. This tribunal recognizes your suffering as equal to your legal vindication. Jiwoo had submitted testimony about Taeyang's nightmares, his guilt, his struggle with what had happened. The arbitrator had read it all. The station will provide counseling services. Humanity has also offered support. I encourage you to accept these resources. Justice isn't just about legal rulings. It's about healing. The hearing concluded. The chamber slowly emptied as species filed out, discussing the verdict in a dozen languages. Some were pleased. Others were angry. But everyone understood that something fundamental had changed. Daun hugged Taeyang, her professional composure finally breaking. We did it. You're free. Jiwoo pushed through the crowd to reach them. I knew you'd win. I knew it. Admiral Insu approached, his military bearing softened by a genuine smile. Well done, son. You served your species well, even if you didn't mean to. Dr. Sunhee nodded her approval. The Deathworld Doctrine will protect thousands of humans across the galaxy. Your case created the precedent we needed. Young-Soo requested an interview, but Daun politely declined. My client needs time to process this. Perhaps in a few weeks. As they left the hearing chamber, Taeyang saw Krishali standing near the exit. The Xanthari female watched him with her compound eyes. She didn't speak, but she gave a small gesture that might have been acknowledgement or farewell. Outside, the station felt different. Or maybe Taeyang felt different. He was no longer a prisoner awaiting execution. He was a free man, vindicated by the highest legal authority in galactic civilization. But he was also a symbol now. The human who killed a Xanthari commander. The case that changed galactic law. The face of humanity's strength and humanity's restraint. Jiwoo took him to the human section of the station. Friends and colleagues welcomed him back. They had prepared food, real Earth food, and for a few hours Taeyang could pretend things were normal, but they weren't normal. They would never be normal again. That night, alone in his quarters for the first time in weeks, Taeyang looked at his reflection. The scar on his face was faint but visible. He touched it carefully, remembering the impact. Vrekthul had struck him and Taeyang had responded. 5 seconds that changed everything. The commander had paid with his life. Taeyang had paid with his peace of mind. The galaxy had paid with its comfortable illusions about humanity. Had anyone truly won? He thought about the Deathworld doctrine, about all the humans who would be protected by new laws. Maybe that was worth something. Maybe Rekthal's death had meaning beyond the tragedy of the moment. Dayun had left him informatio.